Hello, everyone. Today we will be working with a nonfiction article or informational text regarding TV, if you can believe it. So what I'd like for you to do is make sure that you have downloaded the two attachments. There is this article that you're looking at right here, and then there is your assignment. So if you could pause the video and get those downloaded so that you can follow along as I read, that would be terrific. Now, one of the things that I have that's a little bit of an advantage, but I want to make sure I model for you guys, is when I am reading something and I know that I'm going to have questions about what I'm reading that I have to answer afterwards, I always make sure to highlight or make some sort of notation as I read. So you'll see me do that throughout this process. So here we go. Television shows sounds and pictures. They get data from cables, disks, or over-the-air signals. They turn this data into sounds and images. People watch news and shows on them. You'll probably call them TVs. Well, no kidding, right? Okay, so they get data from cables and disks or over-the-air signals. They turn data into sound and images. Interesting. Okay. John Baird made the first TV in 1925. It had one color. It could only show 30 lines. This was just enough room for a face. It didn't work well, but it was a start. The first TV station was set up in 1928. It was in New York. Few people had TVs. The broadcasts were not meant to be watched. They showed a Felix the Cat doll for 2 hours a day. The doll spun around on a record player. Okay, now you guys would actually have to know what a record player is. Maybe you do, because they're like hip now. They're hipsters have record players. I still have one, by the way, and lots of albums as well. Okay, so the first TV was 1928. Goodness. Can you imagine how boring it would be to watch a stuffed cat spin around on a record player? They were experimenting. It took many years to get it right. By the end of the 1930s, TVs were working well. America got its first taste at the 1939 World's Fair. This was one of the biggest events ever. There were 200 small black and white TVs set up around the fair. The U.S. president gave a speech over the TVs. The TVs were only 5 inches big, but the people loved it. They wanted TVs, but World War II was going on during this time. Factories were busy making guns and bombs. When the war was over, TVs spread across the country. By 1948, there were 4 big TV networks in America. They aired their shows from 8 to 11 each night. Local shows were aired at the other times. Most of the time, nothing was shown at all. TV was not always on like it is now. Color TVs came out in 1953. They cost too much money for most. Also, shows were aired in black and white. That's interesting. Why would you want to purchase a color TV if the shows did not have color capability? That's kind of silly, isn't it? And look at the dates here, 1953 and 1965. By 1965, color TVs were cheaper. TV stations started airing shows in color. People had to switch if they wanted to see the shows. Okay, so I find that fact very interesting, that color TVs came out in 53, but you couldn't see color. And it was 12 years later, and finally you could see color on TV, but you had to buy a brand new TV to make that happen. Crazy. Now most TVs are high def. This means that they have many lines on them. This makes the image clear. TVs have come a long way since Baird's 30-line set. High def TVs have 1,080 lines. There are state-of-the-art sets called 4K TVs. These TVs have 3,840 lines. Some people watch TV in 3D. I wonder what they will come up with next. Smell-o-vision, anyone? Can you imagine if you had a TV that smelled? Oh my goodness. that you could smell. Not that the TV has a nose, for heaven's sakes. Okay, so I'm going to look back over my article here, and I might want to remember that they were working well and they were at the World's Fair. And there were 200 of them, and that the president, where did that go? There we go. The president gave a speech over the TVs. 5 inches. Wow. Okay, let's see. TVs, high def. High def now has 3,000 lines compared to 30 lines. Goodness. Okay, so we have now read our article about TV and the history of TV. All right, next, let's look at our assignment. Okay, so now we have our assignment on the left and the article on the right. Okay, I'm going to grab a different colored highlighter to answer the questions. So the first question is a comprehension question, right? When did color TVs come out? Okay, so if we go back over here, I think I highlighted it somewhere. Let's see where that is. Color TVs came out in 1953, so I would answer 1953. Which was not true about the first TV. Not true. It could only show one color. It did not have sound. It only had 30 lines. It did not work well, which was not true. Okay, let's go back over to the first TV. I don't think it said anything about sound. So the answer is C. See how annotating that, highlighting it as I read, really kind of helps me go back to that spot instead of having to read the article all over again? That can get a little bit tedious sometimes. Okay, number 3. When did networks start showing programs in color? I remember that was on this side. 1965, color TV stations started showing 1965. Ding, ding, ding. Whoops. Okay, I meant 65. Hopefully you guys know that because I'll mess up my screen if I go try to find my undo button. Okay, number 4. Why did the first TV station only show Felix the cat for 2 hours? Because they wanted to bore people to death. No, that's not the answer. Okay, let's see. They were running tests. Felix the cat had been a big radio star. Felix the cat was really popular. Felix the cat was the only show they had. So let's see. They showed Felix the cat doll for 2 hours a day. They were experimenting. So this would be my answer. Oh, for heaven's sakes, it did it again. I'm going to mess it up. Where is my undo button? There it is. I'll just go back and get this one. Okay, and they were experimenting, right? Oh, for heaven's sakes, it keeps wanting to do the wrong answer, guys. It's A. Maybe I'll just do that. All right. So you guys are seeing how I'm going through and answering these questions, even though I'm having a heck of a time, right? So there are 5 more questions, multiple choice questions, and then there are some short answers. I want you to finish this assignment. So in other words, I want you to start with number 5, continue to answer, and you can just highlight yours. Hopefully you have better luck than I did, for heaven's sakes. And then go to the short answer questions and answer those. If you could make sure that you answer those in complete sentences, that would be terrific. Let me know if you have any questions.